Howdy. Hope you can hear me. Today, today we're in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. This is Strawberry Hill, and this is a pretty major node. It's not as big as the ones down in Big Sur in Monterey, as it doesn't have it's not on the Emperor Dragon line, the Jade Emperor Dragon pair, but it is where two major ley lines cross. I left my, I'm visiting my sister in Pacifica, which is a couple of miles that way, and I left my dowsing rods in the car. We've had a wonderful day, but I can't tell you exactly how wide these lines are and everything, but they're solar, they're caused by the sun, the cosmic radiation that comes from the sun, and they are between 10 and 30 paces wide, a little more than that, and they cross right here, right where I'm standing, pretty much. And so if you're in San Francisco, now you know where there's a major node in town, and you can see that it's a really beautiful place that can accommodate whoever wants to come and make a pilgrimage. It's on an island in the middle of the park, and on this island is the highest point, I think, in the park, as a matter of fact. So there's this wonderful tree. I don't know how old it is, but I'm guessing it's got to be at least 100 or more. And yeah. Hey, Tanya Lee. Great to virtually connect with you. So today, the 25th, is officially kind of the last day of when all the ley lines are in harmony, resonating at the same frequency, of about 48 hours. So that means 24 hours in one direction and 24 hours in the other direction, in their undulation. And it takes only about 20 minutes for them to start to come apart. And that'll be happening sometime within the next 24 hours. And but if you happen to be near a node and you're conscious of the fact that you're near a node, and you interact with the node with conscious awareness, practicing your meditation and whatnot, you have the potential of extending the period when the ley lines in the vicinity are resonating at the same frequency, and the energetic structure that is at the node can remain longer through human interaction. And remember, the subtle energy grid of the earth is affected by our thoughts and emotions, especially the combination, emotional thoughts. We basically, by investing our emotions in our thoughts, we kind of give juice to them. We give the energy into the subtle energy realms, the metaphysical realms. And I could go on and on and on about this, but my sister and I are here, and we're gonna go enjoy the soup a bit more. So it's, for me, this has been a week. I came up on last Thursday to Big Sur, spent Thursday night on the edge, and then Friday I went to the bottom of the road for the Jade Node, and discovered there had been a fire the day before that they were fighting, and it turns out that fire was around the Jade Node itself, and the archaeological site that I discovered back in 1993, 94, And but I spent the weekend where I dowsed where the Emperor Dragon comes up out of Jade Cove, where it crosses the cliff and where it crosses the road and goes up the mountain. And we held ceremony there on Saturday and Sunday, sitting in meditation. And then on Monday morning, I hiked to the top of the mountain because they'd opened the road. And I did a couple of really like less than a minute videos, live streams from the top of the mountain. And I stayed up there until midnight and then hiked down in the dark. And I stayed up there and watched the sunset into this carpet of clouds all the way to the horizon. And then the moon set, the new moon set. And then behind me, looking east, I watched the Milky Way rise up in all its splendor, and Scorpio and Sagittarius and Jupiter and Saturn. And that's what I was watching as I was going down the mountain, hiking down the mountain. And then on Tuesday, I drove up to Monterey and met Chad, and he took me to the Monterey node, and we held ceremony there, and then I spent the night in a motel, got a wonderful bath and a good night's sleep, soaked my legs from the hike, and then the next day I went out back out to the node, and I shot a video and did I actually dowsed the perimeter of the node in Monterey, so I know exactly where it is, and I talk about it in that video. It's really easy to find. And so here we are, three major nodes in 3 days. So I was hoping to make it over to Mount Diablo. There's another major node just east of the Bay Area on Mount Diablo, the top of Mount Diablo. So if you're in the area and you want to check that out, I haven't checked it. I've never been up on top before. So, but I'm not going to get there before. I don't want to cut short my time with my sister. So I won't get over there before the end of before the ley lines start to, before the end of the harmony period, before the ley lines start to come apart. So it's been a magnificent time. And I was looking at, for all those folks that have donated to my GoFundMe thing, I forwarded them an email earlier today, kind of detailing what I just wanted to do a general accounting of all the money that I've gone through in the past 9 months in the dealing with the cancer and everything, and it gave me an opportunity to think about what I've been through all these 9 months, and so on the way up from, my sister lives in Pacifica, which is about 10 or 15 miles that way, just south of here, and it's right on the cliff, right? And so to get here, we're driving along the cliff, and we found this place where there's people hang gliding off the cliff, and which is something I've always wanted to do, And so we went over there and got shanghaied and hung out, and it's been a really wonderful day. We saw hawks, we saw a blue heron on the way up here, and I saw a blue heron when I was at the Miracle Hot Springs a couple weeks ago. Anyway, while I was recounting for that update to the GoFundMe, my angel and supporters, And I was just doing a general accounting in my head, and I was like, it's been 3 months since the last chemo infusion, and and that chemo infusion, from the day that I had the chemo infusion, I went 14 days with only water, and then another 12 days with with no solid food. And because I started with a little miso soup with seaweed, and then some what do you call that? A blueberry smoothie in the morning. That's how I started, and then after 26 days, I had solid food, and that was my March. That's basically it. Started on March 4th was the infusion, and I started eating, I think, on the 30th, and that was 3 friggin' months ago, And when I started eating, I weighed 150 pounds, and right now I probably weigh about 178, and that most of that is muscle that I've regained from working out, running and climbing mountains, stuff like that. So, it's I feel so blessed and to be alive, because in those 26 days, 3 months ago, being fetal, there were times, and I said this in that note I sent out earlier, is just knowing that there were people that were, giving a hoot about what's happening with me made it such a big difference, and really helped me through the hardest parts, when I was fetal in bed and didn't feel like I could get up, and because I was so weak, which is when a lot of people die, going through, the cure kills you. So, and I just want to take a moment. There's a brother from my high school class that passed away in the past 24 hours, Wesley Delaney, and I just want to give a mention to Wesley and his sister. They're both in our class of 75, Falmouth High School, and Wesley and I bowled together when we were like in 6th grade. That's how long I've known him. My mother was an avid bowler, 10-pin bowler, and my sister bowled with him too. So, long time ago, but it's so tenuous how we know one another, and I just know what a difference it makes in life, the connections that we have with people, however tenuous they may seem. I've been spending a lot of time in the wilderness by myself over the past couple of months, and when you're in the wilderness by yourself, ultimately all that you find is what you bring with you. And I'm happy to report from the fringe of the wilderness that you come to me when I'm in the boondocks, and I think about you, and I think about whatever our connection is. I think about it comes to me, and when I recognize a person's name or a connection or whatever, I send you love. I send you appreciation, and I celebrate you, and I celebrate our knowing of one another on the planet. That's all. So, there, take that. That's one of the reasons why I love going into the wilderness, because things get really quiet, and I can just hear my thoughts and feelings and receive ideas and inspirations and memories that that I need to process, all this stuff that's happened in the past 9 months. I'm just processing it and letting it go and letting it go and loving it, loving what's happened. And I know that there's a lot of people enter into what I've been going through and they end up leaving the world through it. And I recognize that I'm here now, that this was just an initiation for me. This is just the beginning for me, for what I came here to do. And I'm really excited to get down to it. So stay tuned, fine tuned. All right, I'm gonna go find my sister. Hope she didn't. She was talking about, would it be fun to roll down the mountain, roll down this hill? I'm like, well, we'll see. Of course it would be, Chris. Let's do it. So off to play some more because we can. And yeah, I'll fill you in some more when we get going here. So we're back to my favorite part. This is me beaming love at you. So there, take that. Remember, we love you.